Hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is a very new type of video for my channel. I've never done someone else's makeup on film. I've actually only done like 3 or 4 people's makeup in my lifetime. So my best friend was visiting from Chile. She trusted me with her face, and so I am going to show you how I did a very natural look using a mix of drugstore and high-end products. And this is just a very natural everyday look that she wanted. I also do her hair at the end of the video, and she is holding her little 5-month-old, so if you see her little head pop up, that's who she is. I'm going to start off with this Infallible Matte Lock Primer. I just got this and I'm not quite sure how I'm loving it, but it did really well on her skin. And a lot of these products are new to her, meaning she doesn't use these on a regular basis. So I'm introducing her to a lot of products that she can start using from day to day, getting rid of her foundation and anything that she really doesn't need to get this natural look. So for every day, I suggested that she start using just a concealer. This is Boo Hoo Cover Up, and I'm just going to dot it underneath her eyes and some of the areas where she has a little bit of redness, and just having her skip her foundation altogether during the day. Next, I'm going to use a damp beauty sponge or beauty blender, whatever you have. She bought some new ones while she was here. She said she had one in her makeup collection, but she didn't know how to use it. So I showed her here to make sure that it's wet, and then to keep blending it out. Even when you think it's blended out, just keep pressing it into the skin lightly until all the areas of the concealer are blended out and there are no lines showing you where it starts and stops. So you can see the difference here. Then I'm going to go ahead and go in with the Airspun Loose Face Powder. This is a naturally neutral. I just take my damp beauty sponge and dip it right into some of the powder that I shook into the lid, and then I loosely place the powder just underneath her eyes, barely tapping it in. And then what I'm going to do is also set her T-zone. And then after it's been sitting on the face for, I don't know, a minute, or if you want to like work on your eyebrows or other things, just let it sit for a little while. And then what I do is just take the beauty sponge and start pressing the product into the skin further, and the damp beauty sponge is going to help that powder really melt into the skin. Next, I'm going in with Hoola Bronzer by Benefit. I found that this was a perfect shade for her, and I'm going to use her angled brush that she already had in her makeup bag. Here I'm explaining to her that it's best to start right above your ear and then follow the natural line of your cheekbone, and then stopping right where your outside eye kind of ends right there, never going further in closer to the nose. And then I'm going to go ahead and just blend it out. And what I like to do is blend contour or bronzer up versus blending it down. And also just starting with a little bit of product, because you can always add to it, whereas you start with too much product or too dark of a product, it's very difficult to take it away. So I'm going to go into her hairline at the top of her forehead, the sides of her forehead, and making sure it's all blended out nicely with no harsh lines, right into the hairline. And you can see it's giving her a nice glow, but it's not too strong and it's not too dark. And then I'm going to go into the eyebrows. Her eyebrows, she has gotten them tattooed for many years, and then she stopped doing it recently. So I'm going to go in with the Nudes Palette by Maybelline, and starting with these 2 shades. They're matte shades. The lighter one over here on the side, and then the darker one here on the outside. So I take this Anastasia brush, and then I just start feathering in her natural eyebrow, following the natural arch, and then going in with the darker product again, and just shaping the ends. As you can see, it's not much different than her natural hair color, and that's what she was really hoping for, because she doesn't feel like she needs to get her tattoos redone. She just wants to find a good way to fill in her eyebrows. So now I'm going to go in with the lighter shade and start feathering in more eyebrow hairs in the natural direction of her eyebrows. And then brush them out really lightly. And then I set everything with the Clear Brow Gel by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Next, I'm going to go ahead and enhance her eyelid space by using this really light shade and then this darker shade that I used on the front part of her eyebrows. I'm just going to take the lighter shade all over her lid. It's basically the same color as her skin, but it's going to be a nice base for the slightly darker shade that I'm going to go into her crease with. This is a really fluffy brush that I'm using. You can use any fluffy brush that you have in your makeup collection. Now I'm going in with the slightly darker color, and I'm just going to go into her crease, concentrating it on the outside of her eye, and then really just trying to stay within that hollowness, the natural hollowness of her eyes. She has naturally hooded eyes, so I wanted to show her a little trick to help enhance her crease. I'm also telling her not to be afraid to take that slightly darker shade all the way to the inside of where the eye meets the nose and darken that a little bit, because it adds a little bit more structure to the eyes and nose, and it complements her face really well. I'm just following the same steps on the other eye. I am using the same brush for both shadows, but we did go to Ulta and get her two different brushes. The one for her crease is going to be a little bit smaller and a little bit more dense. Now, she was unaware of this trick where you just take a black eyeliner and line the inside of your eyelid. And so it was very ticklish. She's tried to do it a couple times while she was visiting, but I told her it takes some practice, so I'm doing it here for her. It's easiest to just close your eyes and then carefully run it along the top side of your eyelid. And it automatically enhances your eyelash line, and it makes it look darker, a little bit more sultry. I just love that trick. So here I'm telling her that she can either take the same eyeliner or any type of black shadow with a thin brush and line your eyelid as close as you can to the lash line to enhance your lashes even more. I'm going to take the top of a brush that actually broke in my makeup bag that is super, super dense, and I'm just going to blow out that line that I created so it's much more natural. And then I'm going to curl her lashes with this Tarte eyelash curler. I like to curl it as close to the lash line and then the middle part, and then going up higher and then pressing it a little bit more with the closed eyelash curler. And I also applied her mascara off camera. Then I'm going to take that angled brush that I used for bronzing and sort of contouring, and then just slightly add some of that darker shade to the sides of her nose, not to really contour, but just to balance out some of the tanness around her face. And then next for blush, I'm using this BH Cosmetics 10 blush set, and I'm using these two shades. One is a little bit more shimmery than the other. And then again, starting with the high point of the cheek, that's where I like to apply the blush first. The most amount of product that I have on the brush, blend it out from there. I like to bring it a little bit higher to the temple, and then whatever is left on the brush, I like to take it as close as I can to the nose, but not at the nose, and then blowing it out from there for a real natural flush of color. Next, I'm going in with this cream highlighter by Becca Cosmetics. It is the perfect shade for her skin tone, especially if she's looking for just an everyday highlight. I like to put it right at the top of the cheek, a tiny bit above the eyebrow, and then later on I'm going to add it to the inner part of her eye because I don't know if that's what she wants. And then some people like to put it at the top of their cupid's bow, their chin. I'm just going to put a little exclamation point right here on her nose. And then you can either blend it out with your fingers, use a really fluffy brush made for highlighting, or you can use your beauty blender to blend it out. Next, I'm using this Sephora Illuminate palette that has all these beautiful highlighter shades. And I'm going to go in with this shade right here and this shade right here. I'm just going to use a fan brush because I feel like a fan brush really applies the highlighter really well. That's what I use. And then I'm just dusting the highlighter really gently on her skin because, again, this is an everyday look, and also this is the very first time she's ever worn highlighter, so I'm showing her how she can apply it really nicely and subtly so that she can get away with this at work. She's a teacher, so we don't want her to glow like a disco ball, but we do want to have it look youthful and beautiful. Now I am placing some of that cream highlighter on the inner corners of her eyes and showing her how it just opens up a little bit of that brightness in her eyes. Now I'm telling her that if she feels like she put a little bit too much bronzer or contour, or maybe her blush is really dark, you can go in with your powder brush or a really fluffy foundation brush and just press, and again going upwards not downwards, and just blending some of that out. Next, I'm using this lippy that she already had in her makeup bag. It's this Mega Slicks Wet n Wild shade. It's very neutral, and this is what she likes to wear every day, so I wanted to make sure I use something that she already wears. And then another product that she's never used before is spray to set your face. So you can either use Fix Plus or you can use a stronger makeup setting spray like the one by Urban Decay. I went ahead and just used Fix Plus because it's just a natural everyday look. And then I went ahead and used her big fluffy brush to press all of the product from the spray into her skin so that there are no spots, and just to make sure everything melts together. What I also like to use is a beauty blender or a beauty sponge and roll it all over the face to make sure everything is set with that spray. And now onto the hair. So I'm going to use this tapered curling wand. I'm going to section her hair in half, and because she has so much beautiful hair, I'm just going to take each section and then split it in half. And then whenever you're curling the back of your head, it doesn't really matter which direction you're curling it, but I went ahead and just curled it all away from her face, depending on which side of her face I was working on. And I told her that anytime you're working in the back of your head, you can turn the wand or curl your hair either way because it doesn't really matter. When you get to the front of the face is when it matters. So what I like to do is curl the hair around the wand, facing it away. So as you can see, the hair comes around the curling iron, and then it has this really nice wave at your face. And then you can either curl the hair even more with your fingers, or you can pull it down to make it less of a curl. And then what I like to do is take a couple of small sections, like 2 or 3, and curl from the very, very top of your hair so that it gives a little bit more body and not so flat. After I curled her whole head, now I'm just brushing her hair out with my fingers. I don't like to go in with a brush. I just feel like your fingers are the best tool for that. And now I'm telling her again, you can either enhance the curl with your fingers by wrapping it around, or you can loosen it up, whichever you like. And here I was making a joke about all those Instagram videos where they finish fixing the hair and then they push all the hair forward like it's a huge mass of head of hair, and that's what she has. So it looks so beautiful. She was so happy with this look, and she can't wait to start using this curling iron at home. Here's her little baby girl, who's so good during the whole process. And coming in close, you can see this look is very, very natural and perfect for every day. I'm just flaking off some of the mascara, and it's easiest to do when it's dried. And here she's just playing around. That's just her personality. I love her so much. Thank you, Pascal, for letting me do your makeup, and I hope these tips and tricks were super helpful. You look gorgeous. Cannot wait to see her recreate this look, and even any of you guys that find this video helpful to recreate this look as well.
It looks amazing.
Yay!
I love it, I love it, I love it.